So let's start by creating a new account for ChatGPT or OpenAI. And if you already got one account, you can simply log into ChatGPT and skip to the next lecture. So this lecture is for the users which do not have a ChatGPT account. So what you can do is to open your browser and type ChatGPT there. Now you can see the search results. So the first one is this openai.com ChatGPT. So click on it and it will gonna open this page for you. And here you can click on the Start Now button and this page will be opened. So this is the interface for ChatGPT, and here you can write your queries and click on the Send button, and ChatGPT will gonna generate the response for you. Similarly, you can see some suggestions here that you can create a content calendar for TikTok, make a personal web page, quiz me on word capital, create a recipe, and so on. So whatever question you will gonna ask, it will be answered using their ChatGPT 4o mini model. But if you want to use their advanced ChatGPT 40 or 4o model for free, you need to either log in or sign up. So let's click on the sign up button. And it will gonna take you to this screen, and here you can attach your Google, Microsoft or Apple account. So we will continue with Google, so click on this continue with Google and then select your Google account, and here press continue. And now here you need to type your name and your birth date. So click agree. And that's it. So now we have created an account on OpenAI and we are logged into ChatGPT. And here we can use ChatGPT for creating images, analyzing data, code, make a plan, and much more. And we are going to explore it inside our next lecture. So once you will create a new account or log in into ChatGPT, you will be able to see this screen. And here you can ask any question which you got in mind. And ChatGPT also provides us few suggestions about the things it can do. Like we can click on this make a plan and we can see a number of options. So let's say you are planning a weekend in New York. So you can ask ChatGPT to make a plan for the weekend in New York. So let's click on it and this query will be sent to ChatGPT. And now you can see its response. And when you will read it, you will know that just like a normal tour operator, it is asking you different questions. And based upon your questions, it will gonna generate a response for you. But in this course, we are not going to use ChatGPT for these common tasks. But instead, we are going to use it for building applications in Flutter without knowing any programming language. Similarly, if you got some programming experience in Flutter Dart or any other language, that will be a big plus. But now let's start doing that. And to do that, the first thing which we need to do is to explore the GPT section of ChatGPT. So you can see this explore GPT button here. So click on it and it will gonna open this screen for you. And here you can explore different GPTs available on this platform. But the first thing is we need to understand what is a GPT. So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So in short words, it is a machine learning or AI model which can understand human language and return the response in natural or human language. And these AI models or GPTs can be trained for specific purposes. Like we have opened ChatGPT earlier, so it means that it is an AI model which is specifically used for chat. Similarly, there are other GPTs which are created or fine-tuned for specific purposes. Like when you will scroll down, you can see the first one which is for Wix AI website builder. So if you are familiar with Wix, then it is a platform where you can create your websites using drag and drop. And this is a custom GPT which will gonna help you to set up your website. Similarly, if you are familiar with database, then this is a GPT using which you can optimize and write SQL queries. Similarly, you will be able to find number of GPTs here. And the GPT which we are going to use in this course is related to programming. So you can go to this programming section and you will see GPTs which can write code, debug it, and also test it. Like here you can see this GPT for Python. So it can be used for writing code in Python. But as we are interested in Flutter, so what we can do is to type the word Flutter here and press enter. And you will be able to see these results here. So you can see there are number of GPTs related to Flutter. So these are the GPTs which are customized or fine-tuned to write Flutter code. And the most popular one is the first one, which is named Flutter, and it got more than 100,000 comments. Similarly, you can check this number for different GPTs which are available here. And you can use any one of these, but we will stick with the best, so you can click on it and you will see this dialog here, and you can read your personal Flutter Copilot, assistant and project generator with a focus on responsive, beautiful and scalable UI. Write clean Dart code and become much faster developer. So the main perk of this GPT is it can create beautiful GUIs and entire applications using a single prompt. And you can see it got more than 1000 ratings and 100,000 conversations. Similarly, you can see some suggestions here, like you can create a full login screen with password recovery, or you can find any bug or error in your code. And the most exciting feature is transforming your UI design into Flutter code. So it means that you can provide your picture and it can convert this picture into Flutter code. So now let's start using it. So click on this start chat and it will gonna open this GPT for you. So now here, whatever question you will gonna ask, it will be answered using this particular GPT, which is specialized in writing Flutter code. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up the environment for Flutter app development, and we are going to do that on Mac operating system. And if you have a Windows, then you can follow the other lecture where we are going to do the environment setup on Windows operating system. And if you already got Flutter and Android Studio set up on your Mac, then you can skip this section and proceed to the next one. But now we are going to start setting up the environment. And the first step is installing or adding Flutter SDK inside our MacBook. So to do that, you can open your favorite browser and there type Flutter. After that, press enter and you will see this first result, which is this www.flutter.dev. So click on this link and the documentation page for Flutter will be opened. And here you can read about the features of Flutter. But we are going to click on this get started button and we will be moved to this screen where we need to select our operating system. So as we got a Mac, so we will select this Mac OS and it will gonna show us this option. And here for now we are going to select iOS, so just select it and it will gonna show us the instructions to do the setup of Flutter on Mac OS. So here you can firstly scroll down and go to the section install the Flutter SDK, and there in the download and install section you will find these two options. So if you got a Mac which has an Intel chip, then you can select this one, and if you got the latest Mac with M1, M2 or M3 chip, then you can download this zip file. So as I got a Mac with an Intel chip, so I will gonna download this one. So click on it and the download will gonna start. So now let's wait for this download to be completed, and then we are going to add this SDK inside our MacBook. So now the zip file is downloaded and I got it here. And now we need to put this zip file or this SDK somewhere inside our Mac, and then we need to tell Mac that this is the Flutter SDK and using it we are going to develop Flutter applications. So how we are going to do that? So to do that, open the documentation page again, and here below these download buttons we got some instructions. So there you can see the second instruction is creating a folder where you can install Flutter, and they recommend that inside our home directory we will create a folder with the name development. So what we are going to do is to open our Finder and then we are going to navigate to our home folder. And there we are going to create a new folder. So select new folder here and then name it development. After that, inside this folder we need to extract that zip file. So there you can see I got it here on desktop. So what I can do is to drag it inside this folder, and then I am going to double tap it to uncompress it. And there you can see we got this Flutter folder. And after getting this Flutter folder, you can delete this zip file. So let's delete it, and that's it. So now we got this Flutter folder inside our development folder. So now after doing that, open the documentation page, and there the next step is adding Flutter to your path. So at this point we have completed these three steps. So firstly we downloaded the SDK, and then we created the development folder, and inside it we have put or extracted that zip file. And after that we need to add Flutter to our path. So to run Flutter commands in the terminal, add Flutter to the path environment variables. And to do that, we need to open this file named as zshenv, or there are chances that inside your Mac this file is present with the name zhsrc. So you need to open this file, and then inside this file you need to put this path at the end of this file, and then you need to save that file. And after that, the path of Flutter SDK will be added inside our environment variables. So to do that, you need to firstly check that whether this zshenv file is present or not. And to do that, you can open the terminal, and inside terminal we are right now inside our home folder. So here you need to execute this command ls space al. So press enter, and you will be able to see all the files present inside our home. And there you can see I got this zshrc file. So in your case you will gonna get this file, or you may have this zshenv file. So as I got this file, so I am going to open it. And to open it, we are going to write the command open, and then we need to type the file name, which is zshrc, and in your case it will be zshenv if you got this env file. So press enter. So you can see this .zshrc file is opened, and now inside this file we need to put this path. So you can simply copy this path, and when you will look at it, it is pointing to our development folder, and then inside development we got Flutter, and inside this Flutter we got this bin folder. And if in your case you have put this Flutter folder somewhere else, then you need to specify that path here. But in our case we got it in the home folder, so this is the path which we are going to use. So just simply copy it and then open the file, and after that at the end of this file simply paste it. Now press Command S, and this file will be saved. And after saving the file, just simply close it, and then you can also close this terminal. And now you need to open the terminal again, and here to confirm that Flutter is installed successfully or not, you need to execute a command flutter version. So enter this command and press enter. And you can see this information here. So I got Flutter version 3.16.9, and this is the version which I just installed. So if after running this command you got this information, then it means that you have successfully added Flutter SDK inside your Mac, and Flutter is also added inside your environment variables. So now we can access Flutter from command lines. So now after installing the Flutter SDK, the next step is setting up the Android Studio, because using Android Studio we are going to build our Flutter applications. So in order to install Android Studio, inside your browser type Android Studio and press enter. And there you can see the results. So open this first link, developer.android.com studio. And there you can see this page, and here you will gonna get this download Android Studio button, and this is the latest version of Android Studio available in March 2024. So just click on it, and it will gonna show you this agreement screen. So click on this check mark, and then if you got a Mac with Intel chip, then click on this download button, and if you got an Apple chip, then download this one. So as I got this Intel chip, so I will gonna click on it, and there you can see the download started. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the download of Android Studio is completed, and we got this DMG file here. So just simply double tap on it, and it will gonna show you this window. So here move this Android Studio inside application folder, and after that open this launchpad, and here you will be able to find Android Studio. So just simply click on it, and then you will get this pop-up. So simply click on this don't send button. And then you will get this welcome Android Studio screen. So here simply click on this next button and then you can select the standard or custom type. So if you will select custom, then you can customize installation settings and components installed. But we will go with this standard, so then click next. And here you will find some SDK components and tools which need to be downloaded. So click next. And then you need to agree for these license, so click on this accept button and then click on this Android SDK ARM and click on accept as well. Then click finish and these components will gonna start downloading, and once they finish our Android Studio will be ready. So there you can see these components are being downloaded and it will gonna take some time. So now all the components are downloaded, so click on this finish button and Android Studio will be opened. But at this point inside Android Studio, we cannot create a Flutter project. And to create a Flutter project, we need to install Flutter plugin. So in the side pane, click on plugins and then search for Flutter. So Flutter. And there you can see the result. So the first result is this Flutter plugin. So just click on this install and it will gonna ask you to accept these conditions. So just accept it. And there you can see the Flutter plugin is installed and it is asking to restart IDE. So click on this button and our Android Studio will be restarted. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted and now we got this new Flutter project button, and earlier this button was not there. So it means that now inside Android Studio we can create a Flutter project. So now at this point inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project and then we can run that Flutter project on Android device. But we cannot run that Flutter project on iOS because for iOS we need to install another software called Xcode, and then by combining this Android Studio and Xcode we will be able to run Flutter applications on iOS and Mac devices. So the next step is installing Xcode inside our MacBook. You need to open App Store inside your Mac. So inside Launchpad, search for App Store and you will find it here. And now inside App Store simply search for Xcode. After that press enter and you will see this first result. So this is the software which we are going to download. So you can click on it and its home page will be opened. So now you can simply click on this get button and then click on the install button, and this software will gonna start downloading, and once you will gonna download it, it will gonna show you an open button here. So once Xcode will be installed, you will be able to see this open button, and upon clicking on it, Xcode will be opened. Or you can also check Launchpad and there you will also find Xcode icon. So just click on it and it will be launched in just a second. So when for the first time it will be opened, it will gonna ask you to agree with these terms and conditions. And there you need to provide the password of your Mac to agree with them. And then you will see this window, and here you can select the devices for which you want to develop the applications. So by default macOS and iOS will be selected, so you can just select both of these and then click on install button and it will gonna install some additional components. And once that process is finished, you will see this what's new in Xcode window. So here you can simply click on continue button and you will be able to see this window for Xcode. So once Xcode is installed and it is launched, you will be able to see a window similar to this one. And here you can create a new project in Xcode, or you can open an existing project. So after installing Xcode, you need to click on this Xcode button in the top left corner, and then you can click on this preferences. And here you need to go to this location tab and then you need to select a value inside this command line tools. So by default there will not be any value selected here. So you can click on this drop down and you will be able to see the name and version of your Xcode. So just simply select it and we are all set to build iOS applications inside Flutter. So just close this window and then open Android Studio. And now inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project, and then we can also run this project inside Android and iOS. So let's start by creating a new Flutter project. So click on this new Flutter project button, and here in the side pane you need to select Flutter because we want to create a new Flutter project. Then click next, and here you need to assign a name to your project. Like I will gonna name it as first app, and then you can select your project location here. So by default the studio project folder will be selected and it is created by Android Studio. And then we got the language selection here. So we will gonna use Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. And after doing that you can select the platforms. Like if you want to build this application only for Android and iOS, then you can uncheck this Linux, Mac OS, Web and Windows. And if you want to build it for all of these platforms, then keep them selected and click on this create button so that our new Flutter project will be created. And there you can see our new Flutter project is created, and as it's our first project, so it will gonna download few files. So let's wait for these files or packages to be downloaded. So now the files are downloaded and our Flutter project is ready. So when we create a new Flutter project, by default it provides us a counter application. So now firstly we are going to install this counter application inside an Android device or inside an Android emulator. And then we are also going to install it inside an iOS simulator. So firstly, we are going to install the starter application inside an iOS simulator, and then we are also going to install it inside an Android emulator. So to open an Android simulator here, you can click on this drop down and you will see this option Open iOS Simulator. So just click on it and it will gonna launch this simulator here. So there you can see a simulator or a clone for iPhone 14 Pro Max is opened. And it will gonna take few seconds and then it will be ready. And after that we are going to install the starter application inside this iOS simulator. And there you can see the iOS simulator is ready. And now to install our application on this iOS simulator, what we can do is to select it here in this drop down, and there you can see it is already selected. So after selecting it, click on this run main ... and our application will be installed inside this iOS simulator in few seconds. And there you can see our application is installed inside this iOS simulator. So this is the default counter application provided by Flutter. And here when you will click on this button, this count will gonna increase. So now we have successfully set up Flutter in macOS, and then we have also created a new Flutter project, and we are able to install this Flutter project inside an iOS simulator. And now the next step is installing this starter application inside an Android emulator. So to install this starter application inside an Android device, you can either connect your mobile with this MacBook or you can create an Android emulator. So here let's minimize the simulator and then click on this device manager icon. And there you can see a default Android emulator created by me. But in your case you might not see anything here but a create Android emulator button. So upon clicking on this button you will see a dialog similar to this one. And here you can select the device for which you want to create an emulator. Like we are going to select Pixel 7 and then click next. And there you will be able to see the list of Android versions. So here you can select the latest version or the versions you like. Like we are going to select this Android 14. So just select it and then click on this download button. So before creating an Android emulator containing Android 14, we need to download the zip file for Android 14. And there you can see this download started. So now we need to wait for this download to be completed, and then we are going to create an Android emulator and install our application inside it. So now the downloading process is finished, so just click on this finish button, and after that you can see this Android version which is currently downloaded inside your macOS. So just simply select it and then click next, and after that you can select the orientation of the device and then click finish and our Android emulator will be created. So there you can see after creating it, we got this Pixel 7 which is containing Android 14. So to launch this Android emulator, click on this run button. And after that, minimize this bottom box and also minimize this top box so that we can see the emulator here clearly. And it will be there in just a second. And there you can see the emulator is started and you can see the basic interface of this particular Android device. So once it is ready, you can simply select it from this drop down. So there you can see this Pixel 7, so just select it. And after that, we are going to install the application inside this Android emulator. So now our application is installed inside this Android emulator. So let's increase its size so that we can see things clearly. And here, upon click on this button, this count is increasing. So now let's start by setting up the environment for Flutter app development. And for this purpose, we need to download Flutter SDK, which is Flutter Software Development Kit, and we need to put it inside our system. And to do that, you need to open your browser, and here you can search for Flutter SDK. And there you can see the results, and the first link is this flutter.dev. So click on it and the home page for Flutter will be opened. And there you can read about different features which Flutter provides. But you can see this get started button at the top right corner. So we are going to click here and it will gonna take us to this page where we can select our platform. So as we are using Windows, so select it. And after that it will gonna ask you that for which particular platform you want to build applications. So for now we are going to select Android here. And then you can see this section, and here firstly you can read the minimum hardware requirements, like the minimum CPU cores should be 4 and the RAM should be 8. Apart from that, the resolution will be this one, and you should have minimum 11 GB space inside your system. But these requirements are generally met for all the systems. So after looking at them, you can scroll down and there you will find this section to download and install Flutter. And here you can see this Flutter Windows stable.zip. So you need to download this zip file and it contains Flutter SDK. And then we are going to put it inside our system. So firstly click on it and it will gonna start downloading Flutter SDK for us. Like there you can see this download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the zip file is downloaded and we need to firstly unzip it. So here we are going to extract it using WinRAR, but you can use any extraction software. So now the extraction is completed and we got this folder, and inside this folder you can see we got this Flutter folder, and this Flutter folder contains Flutter Software Development Kit. So we are going to put it inside our Windows directory, although it is not necessary and you can put it anywhere, but we are going to select Windows directory. So simply cut it from here and go inside C drive, and here we are simply going to paste it. So now after putting this folder here, we have added Flutter SDK inside our system. But at this point, this Flutter SDK can only be accessed from this Flutter folder. So it means that we cannot access it outside of this Flutter folder. Like here in the search field, if I will type cmd, then it will gonna open command prompt for me. And then if I will type the command flutter doctor, and this command is used to analyze Flutter which is installed inside your system. So if I will type it and press enter, you can see it is not recognizing Flutter as a command. So it means that we cannot access Flutter from here, from this C drive. But if I will open this Flutter folder and then go inside bin, and here I will open cmd again, so type cmd. And now here if I will type the same command, which is this flutter doctor, and press enter, now you can see it returned this output that Flutter version 3.22.3 is installed inside our system, and apart from that it has returned some other information as well. But now to access Flutter from anywhere inside our computer, we need to set environment variable, and to do that you can simply right click on this PC and go to properties, and here select this advanced system settings, and then select this environment variables, And now here we need to add the path of our Flutter bin folder to access it from anywhere inside our computer. And you can directly type environment variable here and you will be able to see this window. And then you can open environment variables. So now we need to open our Flutter folder and then inside it go to bin. After that, copy the path of this Flutter bin and then open this environment variable window. And here in the system variables, you need to find the key which is path. And if there is no variable with the name path, then you can add a new variable. And here you can specify the variable name to path. And then in the value, you can simply paste the path of bin folder which we copied. But in our case, we already got this path here. So I will gonna double click and now here I will gonna add the path which we copied. So there you can see C, Flutter and bin. After that press OK and then press OK again. And now we are going to close this window. And after doing that we will go inside our C drive and then open CMD again. And here we are going to type this Flutter doctor command. Now press enter and you can see the same detail here, so it means that Flutter is set up successfully inside our system and now we can access Flutter from anywhere inside our Windows PC. So now after setting up Flutter, the next step is installing Android Studio. So at this point we have set up Flutter SDK inside our system. But now to develop Flutter applications, we need to install some IDE like Android Studio or Visual Studio, where we are going to write the code for building our Flutter applications. So as we are going to use Android Studio, so we need to firstly install it. And here when we are running Flutter Doctor, we are getting a lot of information. And this information is about the status of Flutter inside our system. Like you can notice that Flutter is successfully installed inside our system and we got this green tick. But here you can notice that for Android Studio we got this warning that it is not installed. So now the next step is installing Android Studio. And to do that you need to open your browser and then you can search for Android Studio. And here you can see the results. So open this first link, which is this developer.android.com studio. And now here you can simply download latest version of Android by clicking on this download Android Studio button. And here you need to firstly accept their terms and then click on this download button and our Android Studio will gonna start downloading. And there you can see the download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the download is completed and we got this Android Studio.exe file. So now to install Android Studio, double click on it and it will gonna open the setup for Android Studio installation. And there you can see the setup for Android Studio. So click next and then select the location where you want to install Android Studio. So I will gonna keep the default location, then press next and then click on this install button and the installation will gonna start. So here the setup is completed, so press next and then finally click finish and it will gonna launch Android Studio for us. So there you can see it is firstly asking that whether we want to import some settings or not. So we will gonna select do not import setting, then press OK. And after that you will see this window, so press next and then you need to select the install type. So you got this standard and custom option, so we will go with standard. And after that it will gonna download these tools which will be required inside Android Studio. So press next and then you need to click accept here and after that accept these licenses as well. Now press finish and it will gonna start downloading those tools for us. And once those tools are downloaded, they will be included inside Android Studio and later they will be used while building our mobile applications. So now let's wait for these files to be downloaded. So now all the components are downloaded, so click finish. And then you will see this window and here you can create a new project inside Android Studio or open existing one. But to create a new Flutter project, there is a separate button with the title New Flutter Project and it is not there. And the reason is right now we have just installed Android Studio and we did not set up Flutter inside Android Studio. And to do that, you need to go to plugins, and there you need to install two plugins inside Android Studio. So the first plugin which you need to install is called Dart, and Dart is the official language for Flutter. So you need to install Dart plugin inside Android Studio. So there you can see this plugin, so click install, and this plugin will be installed in just a second. And there you can see this plugin is installed. And the second plugin which we need is called Flutter. So you can search for Flutter here, but in our case we can already see it here. So click on install, and this plugin will also be installed. And there you can see this plugin is installed, and now it requires us to restart Android Studio. So click on this restart IDE button, and then press this restart. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted, and we got this new Flutter project button here. So it means that Android Studio is successfully installed and Flutter is successfully configured inside Android Studio. And now if you will gonna open command prompt and write the same Flutter doctor command here, you will be able to see the warning for Android Studio is gone. So there you can see now the warning for Android Studio is gone, and the only issue we have is regarding Android toolchains, and we are also going to correct them. So to resolve this first issue, you need to install command line tools for Android Studio. So open Android Studio, and here you can go to more actions and then click on this SDK manager. And now here you can go to SDK tools and select this Android SDK command line tools. And after that click apply, and this tool will be downloaded and added inside Android Studio. So press OK, and this download is started. So let's wait for this download to be completed, and after that this warning will be gone from Flutter Doctor. So now these tools are downloaded, so click finish, and after that click apply. Now press OK, and this window will be closed. And after doing that, let's run Flutter Doctor again. And there you can see now upon running this command we did not get any error. There is only one warning, and that is about Android licenses. So this command line tools error is now gone. So now to resolve this final warning, you need to run this command inside your command prompt. So you can simply copy this command, and after that you can paste it here inside CMD. Now press enter, and there you can see it wants us to review licenses that has not been accepted, and here we are going to pass Y because we want to accept them, and after that pass Y here as well, and then again type Y. And there you can see after accepting multiple times we got this all SDK package licenses accepted. So now after that if we will run Flutter Doctor again, now you can see everything is set up correctly, so we did not get any error or any warning. So it means that we are ready to develop our Flutter applications. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture you will learn to create an Android virtual device inside Android Studio. So an Android emulator or an Android virtual device is the replica of a real Android device which will be running on your Windows PC. So basically we are going to open an Android phone here on screen, and later we are going to install our applications on that device for testing it. So how we can create these Android emulators inside Android Studio? So to create this emulator you need to click on this more actions and then go to this virtual device manager. And if you are using some older version of Android Studio, then you will find this option for Android virtual device. So once you will click there, you will see this option for creating a virtual device. So click on it, and then here you need to select the device which you want to create. Like you can create different phones, tablets, Wear OS, desktop, TV, automotive, and so on. So as phone is selected, so we can see the list of available devices. So you can select any device that you like. Like I will gonna select this Pixel 7 Pro and then press next. And here you need to select the Android version which you want to install on that particular device. So for now, as the stable version is Android 14, so we are going to download this Android 14. And to do that, you can simply click on this download button and this download will gonna start. And once this download is completed, after that our Android emulator will be ready. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the Android version is downloaded, so click finish, and after that you can select the downloaded version here, which is Android 14, and then press next. And here you can select the orientation of your device and then click finish, and our new Android emulator will be created, and there you can see this emulator. And now to launch it, you can simply click on this run button. So now the emulator which we just created is launched, and you can see this Android device here, and it has a lot of functionality which is similar to your real Android device. And while building our mobile applications, we can install Android applications on this device and then we can test them, and we are going to do this thing later inside our course. So now let's start the actual work, which is building Flutter applications using the power of this GPT. So for that purpose, in this lecture, we are going to build our first fully functional Flutter application of this course, and that is a calculator application. And to build this application, we are going to write our prompt here. So basically, we need to describe the type of application which we want, and this GPT will gonna generate the code for it. So whatever text or the query which we are going to write here is called prompt, and there are specific instructions which we can follow while writing these prompts so that we can get most accurate results. And the most important one is, while writing your prompt, be specific. Like in our case, we want to generate the code for a calculator application. So one way is we can write a simple prompt here, generate the code for calculator application in Flutter, and it will gonna generate the code for us. But we have no idea about the type of calculator it generated, because it can be a scientific calculator, a simple calculator, and so on. But if we will be specific, then we will get more accurate results. So instead of that simple prompt, we can write generate a code for calculator application in Flutter with display area at the top and buttons for digits 0 to 9 and basic arithmetic operations. So when we are going to write that prompt, this GPT knows that we want a simple calculator which can perform basic arithmetic operations. So now let's start by writing our first prompt. So our prompt will be generate a complete calculator application code in Flutter with display area at the top and buttons for digits 0 to 9 and basic arithmetic operations. So that will be our first prompt, and by looking at it, you can clearly see we are specifying that we want a calculator application code in Flutter in which there will be display area at the top and we will have buttons for digits 0 to 9 and basic arithmetic operations. So now let's send this prompt and it will gonna start generating our first Flutter application of this course. And there you can see the complete response generated by this GPT. So it generated a single dot file which contains the code for our calculator application. And there are chances that in your case, when you have hit the same prompt, your result includes some extra steps. Like there may be a step to include a library inside your project, and by using that library, it is performing mathematical operations inside this calculator app. So if that's the case and you want to be on the same page with me, then you can hit this prompt again, but this time you can also specify that build that calculator application without using any external library. So you can hit this prompt, generate a complete calculator app code in Flutter with the display area at the top and the buttons for digits and the basic arithmetic operations without using any external library, and in that case you will get a single dot file just like me. So now now the next step is adding this code inside our Flutter project and then testing our application. So for that purpose, you need to open your Android Studio and create a new Flutter project. So let's click on this button and then press next. And here we can name our project like calculator. And then click create and our new project will be created. So now this new Flutter project is created and by default it contains the code for the counter application. But now we are simply going to copy the code which is generated by ChatGPT and we are going to paste it here. So you can select all the code present in this file and remove it and then paste the code that we just generated, and that's it. So now after doing that, you need to simply run this application inside an Android emulator or inside an iOS simulator and test the working of this calculator application. And after that, we are going to perform a lot of exciting stuff like creating a custom GUI and making changes in this application code. But for now, I will simply going to launch an Android emulator and then install our application inside it. So now this emulator is open, so I can simply click on this run main and our application will be installed inside it. And there are chances that when you will paste the code here, there will be few errors. So in that case, you can manually try to fix them if you have any background knowledge of Flutter. Otherwise, you can open ChatGPT again and here you can generate the code again or mention that there are errors in your code and it will gonna provide you the solutions for it. And there you can see our application is opened and we got this calculator application and I am not sure that it is working correctly, so let's test it. So firstly, let's perform addition. So we are going to add 78 and then we are going to add 23 inside it. And there you can see we got the result. Similarly, let's test this clear button. So it is working correctly. And now let's test multiplication. So 5 into 6 equals to 30, so it is also working. And then let's test the division. So 9 divided by 3 and we got the answer 3. And the final thing is subtraction, so let's also check it. So 23 minus 12. And there you can see we got the correct result here. So it means that it has generated a calculator application which is logically correct. Similarly, the GUI is also quite decent, but it is not a professional looking GUI. And now after generating this calculator application, we are going to use ChatGPT for creating a professional GUI. But we are going to do that inside our next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So now we have created our first Flutter application entirely using ChatGPT. And in this lecture, you will learn to make changes in the GUI of this application again by using ChatGPT. So there are two ways to do it. One way is we can write simple prompt here and ask ChatGPT to adjust the GUI and the size of different widgets. And the second way is we can provide a picture of application design and ask ChatGPT to match the design of our calculator application with the one which is mentioned in the picture. So firstly, we are going to adjust the GUI by writing the prompt here, and secondly, we are going to adjust the GUI with the help of an image. So let's start. So there you can see inside our calculator application the display area is quite large. So the first thing which we can say is reduce the size of this display area, and then we can say that increase the size of these buttons and make them square instead of this circular shape. Similarly, we can ask to add more spacing or a shadow and other things like that. And in your case, it has surely generated a different GUI and you can write the prompt according to that to adjust this application GUI. But in our case, after looking at it, I will write the prompt here. So firstly, we are going to mention reduce the size of display area. And the second thing will be increase the size of buttons and make them square. And the last thing will be adding a shadow. So that will be our second prompt. So we are mentioning that reduce the size of display area, increase the size of buttons and make them square. And apart from that, we want to add a shadow around the buttons. So let's send this prompt and check the response. So there you can see, to adjust the design based upon these points which we mentioned in this prompt, it is creating this updated code. So let's wait for this code to be generated completely, and then we are simply going to copy it and put it inside our application. And with a single click we will be able to see these adjustments. So there you can see the code generation is completed, so you can simply copy the code and open our application, and here you can remove the previously pasted code and paste the new one. And then you need to simply click on this run main dot. And boom, you can see we got the adjusted calculator here. Although it has a lot of extra space here which is not looking good, but based upon our instruction it has adjusted it. So it has reduced the size of this display area, and then we got these nice looking buttons here. And again we can test the functionality, so we are only going to test the multiplication. So 78 into 2 is equal to 156. So this calculator is still logically correct. And now we have adjusted the GUI based upon our prompt. Similarly, we are going to make this application GUI more professional by providing a design to ChatGPT, and then it will gonna adjust that layout based upon our design. So now let's start creating GUI of our application with the help of an image. And to do that, you need to firstly find a picture of a professional looking calculator GUI. And one way is you can check this lecture resources and you will find these 3 pictures here, and you can use any one of these. And the other way is you can open your browser, and here you can search for calculator app GUI. And then in the images section you will find a lot of GUIs here. But here you need to make sure that the picture you are selecting contains a single screen of calculator application. Like there you can see it contains multiple pictures, so it can confuse our GPT, and it will be better if you will stick with these pictures for now, and later you can try to use your own pictures and GUIs. So now here open ChatGPT again, and here we are firstly going to select the picture of the GUI which we want to use. So I will gonna select this picture for now, and then we are going to write the prompt, and our prompt will be change the calculator app GUI and match it with the GUI present in the picture. But here if you will open this picture, you can notice that it contains some buttons which are not there inside our calculator application. Like we do not have these small brackets. So instead of just changing the GUI, we also need to mention the functionality here. So our prompt will be change the GUI and functionality of calculator application and match it with the GUI and the functionality shown in the picture. So that will be our prompt, and here we are clearly specifying that we want to match both GUI and functionality of our calculator application with the GUI and functionality shown in the image. So let's send this prompt. And there you can see the response. To update the calculator app and match the GUI and functionality of the image, we need to change the color scheme. So we are basically going to make the background dark and the button colors to light purple. Similarly, it is also specifying other changes as well, like there will be a secondary display where we are going to display the calculation steps. Similarly, there will be some additional buttons for these small brackets and for this percentage sign. And there you can see the response is completed, so we can simply copy this code and open our application. And here we can simply remove the previous code or comment it and paste the new code here. And then you can see we got few errors inside our application, and these errors are for these classes which are being used for different operations. So what we can do is to look at the error and then ask ChatGPT to help us regarding them. So you can see the first error which we got inside this application code is in the import. So basically it is not able to find this package math expressions, and the reason is we have not included this package inside our pubspec.yaml file. But if we will look at the response closely, ChatGPT did not mention that package. So this is the mistake from ChatGPT, and you will face these errors, but you can use ChatGPT to resolve them. Like in our case, we can open our application code and we can simply copy this error message message. So the error message is target of URI does not exist, and then we got this package. So simply copy it and then open our browser, and here we are simply going to paste the error, and here we can say we are having this error and then paste the error message. Now let's send it. And there you can see the response. So the error you are encountering occurring because math expression package is not included in your project. So to resolve it, you need to add this package inside your pubspec.yaml file. So we need to simply copy this line and add it inside our project. But we are not going to take this line from here. What you can do is to copy the name of this package and then open a site called pub.dev. And then you can paste the name here and press enter, and it will gonna show you this external library or package which we need to use. So you can click on it and its home page will be opened, and here you can go to installing section and then copy the dependency from here. And the reason for this thing is we need to use the latest version of this package, and as ChatGPT is not trained on the latest data, so here you can see it is mentioning the package 2.2.0, but the latest package is 2.6.0. And the other use of opening this package on this website is we can read its documentation and perform different operations. So after copying this line, what you can do, open this pubspec.yaml file, and then you can paste this package in this dependency section. So simply paste it here and then click on this pubget, and it will gonna download this library and include it inside our project, and after that this error will be resolved. So there you can see this package is added, and now if you will open our main dot again, there you can see all the errors are gone. So basically those errors were because of this external library. So that's how you can add external libraries inside your application. So now after adding this library, what you need to do is to click on the stop main dot and install the application again, so that our application will be installed including this package. So let's wait for this application to be installed. So now our application is installed, and you can see this beautiful professional looking GUI here. And if I will open the picture again, you can see it is not exactly matching, but the structure is similar. So you can see all the buttons are exactly at the same position as mentioned in the picture. Similarly, you can test this application, and if you will find any error here, you can clearly mention the error here and it will gonna generate an updated code for you. Similarly, you can also try to use different images, like we are going to try a second image. So upload from computer, and now let's use this image for now, and we are going to copy the prompt which we have used earlier. So our prompt will be change the GUI and functionality as mentioned in the image. So here paste the prompt and send it. So now you can see the code is generated, so simply copy it, and then we can remove or comment the previous code and paste the new one here. And after that, make sure that there is not any error, and if there is any error, you can ask ChatGPT about it. Then click on this run main dot. And boom, you can see we got this updated GUI here, and if I will open the picture which we have used, now you can see it is quite close, although it has made these buttons still circular and these buttons white, but we can also mention it in a prompt and it will gonna make it exactly like that. But apart from that, you can see most of the things are matching. So now let's test this application thoroughly. So we are going to test these new operators. So firstly, you can see this button which is used to remove one digit. So let's enter 789 and click on it, and you can see it is working. Similarly, we can test this operator. So this is actually a percentage or module operator. So I don't know how ChatGPT implemented it. So let's firstly think it is a percentage operator, and we are going to subtract 10% of 500 from it, and the answer should be 450. But you can see we got this message error here, so it means that it is not implemented as percentage operator. So instead it must be implemented as a module operator. And to test it, what we can do is to take the value like 9 and then add the symbol, and after that add 5. So our answer should be 4. And there you can see we got this answer. So it means that it is implemented as a modulus operator or a module operator, which is showing us the remaining value after dividing the first digit with the second digit. So it means that all the functionality of our calculator application is implemented correctly, and if you got any error in your case, you can simply use ChatGPT to correct it. Welcome to this lecture. So now at this point we have created a fully functional calculator application using ChatGPT. And while building this application, we have tried to write precise prompts for creating a Flutter application code and then making changes in the GUI with the help of prompts. After that, we have learned to make changes in the GUI and functionality using the UI design or images. And apart from that, we have also learned to find errors inside our application code and resolve it using ChatGPT. And after doing all these things, the next step is repeating all of these things but for a different application so that we will get used to it. Because each time we are going to write the prompts, we can face different conditions. So you can take this second application as an assignment during this section. So you can follow me initially and then later you can try to do the changes by yourself. And in this section, we are going to build our stopwatch application. And we are going to do things rather quickly because this is our second application. So firstly, I have opened ChatGPT and here I have opened this Flutter GPT. And now here I am going to write our prompt for creating a stopwatch application. And our prompt will be write a Flutter application code for a stopwatch app with buttons to start, stop and reset the timer. The application will display the elapsed time in minutes, seconds and milliseconds. And that's it. So that will be our prompt, and you can clearly see that it is quite precise. So we are mentioning that we need a Flutter code for a stopwatch application which have 3 buttons. The first one to start, then to stop and then to reset the timer. And after that we are clearly mentioning that we want to display the time in minutes, seconds and also milliseconds. So let's send this prompt and it will gonna start generating the application code for us. And meanwhile this response will be generated. We have already created a new Flutter project and named it as Stopwatch, and we have also installed it inside the simulator. So now what we need to do is to simply copy this code once it will be generated and put it inside our application and test it. So now the complete response is generated, so let's simply copy the code and open our application. And here we can simply replace the code with the new one. And that's it. So now after doing that, click on this run main dot. And boom, we got our stopwatch application here. So you can see 3 buttons: start, stop and reset. So let's click on the start button. And there you can see it has started the timer for us and it is displaying the time in milliseconds, seconds and minutes. Similarly, we got the stop button, so click on it and it has stopped it. And then we can again start it from this very same point and also reset it by clicking on this button. And there you can see it started it from the beginning. So it means that we have successfully created our stopwatch application. And after building our stopwatch application, the second step is making changes in the GUI or functionality with the help of prompts. And the third way is making changes in the GUI with the help of UI images. So now we are going to do the second thing and we are going to write the prompt to make changes in this application. So now we are going to make changes in the GUI of this application by writing prompts. And to do that, you can open your browser and write a prompt here to adjust the GUI. Like in our case, our prompt will be modify our stopwatch application to include a circular progress indicator around the timer display. And the progress indicator should display the passing seconds. Apart from that, we can also customize the button, so we can mention that make the buttons larger and give them rounded corners. The start button should be green, the stop button should be red and the reset button should be gray. And that's it. So this is our detailed prompt in which we have clearly mentioned that we want to include a circular progress indicator around this time display, and that progress indicator will gonna display the passing seconds. And then we want to make these buttons larger and rounded with different colors. So let's send this prompt. So now the complete response is generated, so let's simply copy the code and replace it with the new one. So basically the error is for this elevated button, and here it is saying that elevated button do not have this property named primary. So we can also resolve this error by replacing this primary with the background color property, and this error will be resolved. But this is not our goal, so we are going to resolve this error using ChatGPT. So what you can do is to copy the error message, so the name property primary is not defined. So you can simply copy it and then open our application, and here you can mention that we are getting this error for elevated button. Now let's paste the message here and press enter. And there you can see it has also pointed that to fix this you should use button style with background property instead of primary property. And here it is also generating a new code for us. And there you can notice that while writing the prompt we have clearly mentioned the error which we are getting, and we are also mentioning that we are getting this error for this elevated button, and it has quickly identified it and returned a new code for us. So while mentioning error you can try to be as precise as possible. So now you can see the code is generated again, so we can simply copy it and then simply paste it inside our application. And now you can see we are not getting any error, so click on this run main dot. And boom, you can see we got our updated GUI here. So this time, around this timer, there is a progress indicator, and when we are going to start this stopwatch, you can see the progress is increasing and it will gonna indicate the passing seconds. Although this GUI is not looking professional, but it is quite functional, and this progress bar is working quite well. And now we are going to make this application functional by using a GUI present in the picture. So now let's start the next part, which is making changes in the GUI of this application using a GUI design or an image. So you can check this lecture resources and you will find this image or application GUI inside it. And if you will look at closely, it is quite similar to the functionality of our application, but the GUI is looking more professional or more good. So we are going to use this GUI and ask ChatGPT to make the GUI of our application similar to this one. And you should try to write the prompt for this thing by yourself. So firstly you need to upload this picture on ChatGPT. So here we are going to upload it, and then we are going to write the prompt. Modify the app GUI and match it exactly with the GUI shown in the image. And now let's send this prompt. And there you can see it start generating the response, and it has clearly mentioned the changes it will gonna make. So firstly it will gonna apply a gradient in the background, and then there will be a circular border for timer, which is a circular progress indicator. And then it will gonna apply a style to the button and to the text. And here we got this application code. So once it will be completed, we will gonna add it. So there you can see the code is generated, so we can simply copy it and then put it inside our application. And after that click on this run main dot. And boom, we got this new professional looking GUI here. Although the colors are not exactly matching, but the structure is quite similar. So here let's start the timer. And you can see this progress indicator is also looking much better, and also these buttons are looking quite well. Similarly, you can mention here that the color or the background gradient is not matching, and it will gonna generate the code again, and you may get exactly same color scheme as well. So now let's start building our notes taking application using ChatGPT. And for that purpose we need to write the prompt here. But this prompt will be a little bit lengthy because we need to specify a lot of things based upon the functionality of our application. So instead of directly writing the prompt here, you can open any text editor. Like in my case, I have opened Google Docs, and here we will gonna start writing the prompt, and once it's finished, then we can simply copy it and paste it here. And we are doing that so that we can clearly structure the prompt here, and it will be easy for us to read and understand it. So now let's start writing the prompt. So we want to build a multi-screen note-taking application. So our first line will be build a multi-screen note-taking application using Flutter. The app should consist of two main screens. So firstly we will gonna have our home screen, so we can name it here, so home screen. And after that we can write the properties of this screen below, and here if you want you can use this list or a bulleted list. So the first point of this home screen will be it displays the list of created nodes. And second thing will be it will gonna have a plus icon or plus button to create a new node. So these will be two properties of home screen. And the second screen which we will gonna have is an add note or edit note screen. So we can name our screen here, so add or edit note screen. And then we can add a list view again and clearly mention the points. So the first point will be user can create a new note on this screen by entering the title and the content of the note. And the second thing will be it includes a save button using which user can save his note. And the third point will be regarding editing the note. So once user will gonna click on an existing note in home screen, the content of note will be opened inside this screen and user can edit that note. So we can clearly mention that if user taps on an existing note in home screen, the screen will load the note content. And that's it. So that will be the main functionality of our application. So we have clearly mentioned that we need two screens, home screen and edit and add note screen. And we have clearly mentioned the functionality. And after that we are going to add few more instructions. And these instructions are specifically for this code so that the structure of code which ChatGPT will gonna return will be similar to mine and you can easily follow this lecture. So we can add an instruction heading here, so instructions, and then we can mention the instructions in the form of list view. So our first instruction will be create separate dot files for each screen. And the second instruction will be use shared preferences to store the note. So when the note will be created inside our application, that note must be saved somewhere. So there are two main popular options. One is we can use database and second one is we can use shared preferences. So shared preferences is relatively easy to implement, so we are going to use it for now. And in shared preferences, the data or value is stored using key value pair. So we can clearly mention that store the notes using shared preferences. And the third instruction will be create a separate dot file for any data or model class. So basically we are building a notes application, and inside our application the content of each note will be represented by creating a note class. And here I will gonna clearly mention that create any data or model class in a separate dot file so that when you are going to hit that prompt you will get the same structure as mine. So you can write create a separate dot file for each data or model class. And that's it. So now our prompt is completed and you can simply copy it and put it on ChatGPT. And there you can see how clearly we can see each thing inside our application. So we firstly mentioned we need multi-screen note-taking application, and then we mentioned the detail of first screen and then the detail of second screen. And after that we have also provided the detail about the database or backend and also structure of code. And now after copying it, you can simply open ChatGPT and here simply paste it. Now press enter and it will gonna start generating our note-taking application in Flutter. And now you can see the response is generated and it consists of multiple parts. And there are chances that in your case there are different classes name as compared to mine. But the structure will be similar. And as I will gonna take the code from here and add it inside our Flutter project step by step, so you can easily follow me although your classes names are different. So now the next step is creating a new Android Studio project and putting this code inside it. And for that purpose we have already created a new Flutter project inside Android Studio and we have named it Nodes. And now we are going to start adding code inside this project. So you can go to the response of ChatGPT and there you will be able to see classes similar to this one. Although the order may be different for you, but you will find all these classes and maybe some extra classes here. So what you need to do is to firstly create dot file inside our project. So what you need to do is to take the first class and copy its name. So you can see it is named as node dot dot. And then you can open Android Studio and here you can expand this lib folder. Then right click here and go to new and create a new dot file, and here you can paste the name and that's it. So press enter and this node dot dot will be created, and inside this file you can copy the content of the following block and then put it here. And that's it. So now this class is added, and this is a data or model class using which a note is represented inside our application code. So each note will gonna have a title and a content, and I will not go in the detail of this code. So now after doing that you need to move to the response again and copy the name of second class. So in my case it is note story dot dot, so I can simply copy it and then add a new dot file here and assign the name. And after that copy the content of this class and put it inside this file. And after doing that you may see an error because this is because of this library shared preferences, and we are also going to add it later. And now you need to repeat the same thing for all remaining classes. So in my case the third class is home screen dot dot, so I will copy the name, create a new dot file, copy the content and put it inside this dot file. And then we are going to do it for the fourth class, and in my case it is for adding or editing note. So you can simply copy the name of this screen or dot file, create a new dot file and then paste the content inside it. So simply copy the content and paste it here. And if I will scroll down, I got one more class and that is main dot dot, so it is already there. So I can simply copy its code and go to my main dot dot, and here select all the previous code and remove it and then paste the new code. And now after doing that you can notice that inside our project there is an error inside this note story dot dot, and that is because we did not edit this library inside our project. And when you will open the response again and scroll down, you can see there is a dependencies section, and if there is not any dependencies section you can simply copy this error message and put it on ChatGPT and it will gonna show you the dependency. So here you can see this dependency, so we can simply copy it and then add it inside our pubspec.yaml file. So here I will gonna paste it inside this dependency section. Now here what you can do is to use the latest version of this library, and to do that one useful way is to go to pub.dev and here search for the library name. So as the library is named as shared preferences, so there you can see this library. So click on it and you can see the latest version is 2.3.2. So here you can make the change 2.3.2 and then click on this pubget so that the library will be downloaded and added inside our project. And there you can see the library is added successfully and now the error is gone. So now after doing that, what you need to do is to simply run this application inside an Android emulator or inside an iOS simulator and test it. So let's launch an Android emulator and then we are going to test our application. So now the application is installed and you can see our notes application. So firstly we got this heading notes and then this message no notes available, and after that we got this plus button, and upon clicking on it we can create a new note. So click on it and it will gonna open this screen, and here you can type the title for a node and the content of note here. So let's name the title like note 1, and then you can type anything in the content. So I will type some junk text and then click on the save button, and that's it. So you can see our new note is created. Similarly, let's create a second note and then save it. And there you can see now it contains 2 nodes, and now in this application you can create as many nodes as you want. And similarly, if you want to edit a node, you can simply click on it and it will gonna open the same screen, but this time the title is changed to edit node, and we can already see the content of node here. So here I can change it to like note 1 2 and then save it, and there you can see it is also being displayed here. Similarly, if you will gonna close the application completely and open it again, you will still see these notes because these are stored inside shared preferences and they will not be deleted even if you will gonna close the application. So now we have built a simple version of our notes application in Flutter, and the next step is making this application look professional, and we are going to do that inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. So now after building this application, it's time to improve its GUI. And as you can see, now our project consists of multiple screen and multiple dot files. So how we can modify the GUI of each screen individually. So we got this home screen and this add edit node screen. So firstly, we are going to modify the GUI of this home screen. And to do that, you can prepare a design or you can check this lecture resources. And there you will find this home screen.jpg. So basically it is showing a sample GUI for a notes application, and we will try to make our home screen look like this. So basically each note will be displayed in the form of box, and each box will have a different color, and then we will have a plus icon here in the middle using which user can create a new note, and then he will also have this search button using which he can search notes. So now to improve home screen, open ChatGPT and here select the picture which I have just shown you. So we are going to select this home screen.jpg, and then our prompt will be modify the GUI of home screen and match it with the GUI shown in the image. And after that, let's send this prompt. And there you can see it starts generating a new code only for home screen dot dot. So let's wait for this code to be completed, and then we can simply copy it and put it inside our application. And there you can see the complete code is generated, so we can simply copy this home screen dot dot and then open our application, and here inside home screen remove the previous code and add the new one. After that simply click on this run main dot dot. And boom, you can see a beautiful professional looking notes application home screen. So we got this first note and second note, and both notes have a different color. And then this button is also looking much better. Similarly, let's try to create a new note. And here we are going to add a title like note 3. And then click on the save button, and there you can see our third note is added, and it is also containing a beautiful color. So our home screen is looking much better now, and the next step is improving the GUI of this add or new note screen. And to do that we can employ the same approach. So here we can select the other image which we got inside that folder. So there you can see this image. So I will gonna firstly open it so that you can see it. And there you can see it is firstly showing this edit node and then the title of node, and after that the content of node, and it got this beautiful background here. So now we can simply select the same image, and then we can write the same prompt but mention our add or edit node screen. So modify the GUI of our add or edit node screen and match it with the GUI shown in the image. So here at this point, if you will look at the screen design closely, you can notice that the keyboard is also being displayed. So it can confuse our model, and the model can try to include a keyboard in the GUI as well. So we can clearly mention that ignore the keyboard layout in the bottom and instead add a save button there. And now let's end this prompt. And there you can see the response is generated, so you can simply copy the code which is generated for add edit node screen, and then you can replace it inside this add edit node screen dot dot. So remove the previous code and add new one. After that you can simply click on this hot reload button, and boom, you can see the updated GUI here. So user can enter the title of note here like note 4, and then he can enter the detail here and click on the save button. And by doing that, our new note is created. Similarly, you can open the screen again by clicking on this button, and there you can see this is the view for adding a new note. So user can now enter the title here and the content here, and then he can click on the save button. Although on this screen we can make a lot of improvements using ChatGPT. Like firstly, we can ask ChatGPT to make this button circular with a save icon in the middle, because this button is not looking good. Similarly, we can mention that in case of adding a new node, the title should be add node, not edit node. And by writing these things in the prompt, ChatGPT will gonna generate a new code and our screen will gonna look much better. Similarly, when user is editing a node like this node 3, then the background of that node should be applied here. So these are some changes which we can do inside this application, and you should try to do it by yourself by writing simple prompts on ChatGPT. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to make an enhancement inside our Notes application, and that is making this search button functional. So you can see right now the search icon is here, but when you click on it, nothing happens. So now we are going to write a prompt and ask ChatGPT to make this icon functional so that user can search for notes by clicking on this button. And to do that, you can open ChatGPT again, and here we need to write our prompt. So our prompt will be in home screen dot dot search button is not functional, but now we want to add the search functionality so that user can search for notes by tapping on that icon. So you can write that prompt here. And that's it. So that is our prompt, and here we are mentioning that we want to make that search icon functional. And here along with this prompt, I will also going to pass my home screen dot dot code so that ChatGPT generates the new code based upon my current code. And although ChatGPT understands the context and it can take the home screen dot dot code which is previously generated, but we can take that precaution and pass the code if you want to. So I will pass here is my current home screen code, and then you can simply paste the code here and press enter. So now you can see the complete code is generated, so you can simply copy it and replace it inside home screen dot dot, and after that click on this run main dot dot. And our application is refreshed. So now here if I will click on the search icon, you can notice that the keyboard is open and I can type or search here. Like I will search for note 2, so note 2. And there you can see I can only see note 2 here. Similarly, if I will click on this cross icon, I can see all available notes. Similarly, click on it again and search for like note 4. And you can notice that only note 4 is visible, and here is one problem, that the text which we are typing here is not visible. And if you want to correct it manually, then you can go to our build method, and there you can notice that inside app bar we got a text field widget, and there they have set the text color to white. So as the background is also white, so the text is not visible. So you can change it to like black or use any other color here, and then press Ctrl S. And now you can see the text which we can enter here is visible. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also make that correction using ChatGPT. So now at this point inside our Notes application, we have built a beautiful home screen GUI with a search functionality. Similarly, user can add a new note or edit existing note. And if you want, you can add the functionality inside this note application to delete a note. So you can write a prompt, add a delete button on the top right corner of each note, and when pressed, the note will be deleted from our application. And after that, it will gonna generate an updated home screen dot code for you, and the delete functionality will be added. Welcome to this section. In this section, we are going to build a dice roll application in Flutter using ChatGPT. So this is the application which we are going to build. So the application will gonna display these two dice images, and then this message tap anywhere to roll. And each time when the user will gonna press anywhere on screen, the images here will gonna change. So just like a normal dice, when you roll it, you get a random value or a different value. So in this application, you will get this different value. And you can use this application if you are playing Ludo and you have lost your dice. So you can simply open this application and then tap anywhere to generate random output just like normal dice. Similarly, you will be able to see the total of dice here as well. And the best part is, while building this application, you will learn to include external images or external assets inside your Flutter project. And we are going to do that thing entirely using ChatGPT. So in the lecture or course resources, you will find these dice images which you need to include in your Flutter project. And while building this application, I will explain each and everything that how you are going to do that. So hopefully you will be excited. So let's start building our dice roll application. So now let's start building our dice roll application in Flutter. So here we are going to write the prompt based upon our requirement. So our prompt will be build a Flutter application that shows two dice images and a button. After that, when the user press on a button, two random numbers will be generated between 1 and 6, and the matching dice images will be displayed on screen. And that's it. So that is our prompt, and here we are saying that we want an application where two dice images and a button will be visible, and when the user will gonna click on a button, two random numbers will be generated between 1 and 6, and the matching dice images will be displayed on screen. So now let's send this prompt. So now our application code is generated, so we need to copy this main dot code and add it inside our application. So here I have created a new project and named it as dice. So I will gonna replace the content of our main dot and that's it. And after that you can notice a similar error which we got before, and that is because of this elevated button. So we can change this primary with background. And that's it. Similarly, you can resolve this error using ChatGPT if you want to. But now after doing that, if you will open the page again and scroll down, you will gonna notice these instructions regarding assets. So now we need to add those dice images inside our project. So you can read, you need to include images for the dice in your project. Store the images in the assets folder and update pubspec.yaml file. So basically you need to get these dice images and add them inside our project. And to add them, you can simply get them from this lecture or course resources. And then you can open our project, and here you can right click on your project name and then create a new directory, and you need to name this directory as assets, and inside this directory you can paste all the assets which you want to use inside your application. So in our case we are going to paste all these 6 images, and you can notice that we have named these images as dice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And now wherever inside our application we want to use them, we need to use their name. So there you can see inside our application, we are specifying that display the image which is present in the assets folder, and the image name is dice.png, and here that random number which we are going to generate will be displayed. So here, if in your case the code contain a different name for the image, then you can rename the image. Like here, instead of dice, if it is mentioned dice image, then you need to rename them to dice image 1, dice image 2, and so on. And now after adding these assets, you need to make the change inside your pubspec.yaml file so that your application can access them. And that change will be here in this Flutter section. So basically you can see this asset section which is commented. So you can simply select these 3 lines and uncomment them. And after that, remove one space from here so that it can align with this uses material design. And then you can remove the second line because we don't need it. And after that, you can remove one space from the first line so that our indentation will be correct. And now instead of images, you need to specify the name of your assets folder here. And then if you want, you can individually pass the name of each image here, like dice1.png, 2.png, and so on. And you can see a similar thing here. But a shortcut would be, instead of specifying each image separately here, you can specify assets and /, and by doing that we are saying that our application can access each file which is present inside this assets folder. So we don't need to manually specify the name of each image here inside our pubspec.yaml, and that's it. Similarly, if you want to include any other image inside your application, you can simply put it inside this assets folder and declare that asset folder in this pubspec.yaml file. And then inside your code, you can use this image. And for using that image inside your code, you can take the help of ChatGPT. But right now, we are building our dice roll application in which these 6 images will be used to display dice on screen. So we can install our application and see whether our dice application is working correctly or not. So I will gonna launch the application inside an emulator. And there you can see we got our application here, and for now it is displaying these 2 dice images and this button. So let's click on this roll dice button. And there you can see we got different dice images here. Similarly, each time you will gonna press on it, a random image will be displayed, and that is the functionality of dice, that each time you roll a dice, you don't know what numbers you will gonna get. So this is a simple dice roll application which we have built, and inside this application we are using external assets or external images. And now we are going to fine tune the GUI of this application using an image. So now we have built this application and it is working correctly, but we are going to modify the GUI again using an image. So in the lecture resources or course resources, you will find this image, and it is displaying this beautiful and elegant looking dice roll application. So in this application, these 2 dices are being displayed, and user can tap anywhere and the values or these images will be changed. And then he can also see the total which is being displayed on dice images. So we are going to modify the GUI of this application using this image. And to do that, you need to simply select the image on ChatGPT and then write the prompt that match the GUI and functionality of our application with GUI and functionality mentioned in the image. So now after writing this prompt, let's simply send it. And there you can see it has generated an updated code for us, so we can simply copy it and then replace the code inside our main dot. And after that you can simply click on this run main dot. And boom, you can see we got this beautiful looking GUI here. Although the alignment is little off, but the GUI is quite similar. So you can see that we got these 2 dices here, and then the total, and then this text tap anywhere to roll. So let's click anywhere, and there you can see different images. Welcome to this section. In this section, we are going to build a QR code generator application in Flutter entirely using ChatGPT. So this is the application which we are going to build. So in this application, user can enter a URL or text here in this field, and then he can click on this generate code button and a QR code will be generated, and when user will gonna scan that QR code, that same URL will be returned. So we are going to build this simple QR code generator application inside this section. And while building this application, we are going to take a different route. So we are not directly going to ask ChatGPT to build a QR code generator application, but instead we are firstly going to explore different Flutter packages, and then we are going to select a package and ask ChatGPT to build this QR code generator application using that particular package. And the reason is, for generating QR code we need to use an external library, but we are going to select that library by ourselves and then take the help of ChatGPT to build this application. So after building this application, you will be able to explore different Flutter packages and then ask ChatGPT to use these packages for building different applications. So now let's start building our QR code generator application. And as I told you that while building this application, we are firstly going to explore different Flutter packages and then ask ChatGPT to build this application using a specific package. So to explore different packages or libraries available for Flutter, you need to open this site called pub.dev. So this is the official package repository for Flutter and Dart. And here you can search for different packages. Like for now, we are looking for a package which can generate a QR code, so we can simply search using word QR and then press enter, and you will be able to see 831 packages which are related to QR. And here for each package you can see these three things: the number of likes, pub points and popularity. And the package for which these things will be higher, you can use that package. Like you can see, this first package is quite good because it got more than 300 likes and the popularity of 99%. But if you will look at the second package, it is named as QR Flutter, so it got more than 2000 likes and the popularity is 100%. So this package seems more capable as compared to this one, but it's up to you. So let's explore the second one. So I clicked on it and its home page will be opened. So here you can read the detail about this package and the features it provides. So you can see QR Flutter is a Flutter library for simple and fast QR code rendering via a widget or custom painter. So basically by using this package, we can convert text into QRs and then easily display them on our application screen. So we are going to use this package for building our QR code generator application. And to do that, you need to open ChatGPT, and here we are going to write our prompt. So based upon our app design or the functionality, we can write a QR code that generate a Flutter application where user can input a URL or a text, and the app will gonna generate a QR code for that text. And then the QR code will be displayed on the same screen. So let's write this prompt. So that will be our prompt, and here we did not mention the package name yet. So now we need to mention that the app will gonna generate QR code using a package called QR Flutter. So that will be our prompt, and here we have mentioned that create a Flutter app where user can input a text or URL and app generates QR code for that input. After that, the application will gonna display the generated QR code on screen, and the app will gonna generate QR code using a package name QR Flutter. So we have clearly mentioned that we want to use this package for generating this application, and we have also mentioned that in our application, user will be able to generate QR codes for both URL and text. And here if you want, you can only specify the URL here. But now let's simply send this prompt and look at the response. So now you can see the response is generated, and here we can see it is using the package which we have specified. So we can simply copy the content of our main dot and open our application. So here I have created a new project with name QR generator, and now in main dot I will gonna replace the code, and after that you will be able to see few errors here, and the reason is we have not added this QR under Flutter package inside our application. So to add the package, open ChatGPT again, and here you can copy this dependency. But as mentioned earlier, there are chances that this particular package has a new version available. And to check it, you can go to pub.dev, and here on this package page, you can go to installing section. And there you can see the latest version is 4.1.0. So simply copy this dependency and open your pubspec.yaml file. And here below this dependency section, you can simply add this dependency. Now click on this pub-get so that the library will be downloaded and added inside our project. So now you can see the library is downloaded and added successfully. So open this main dot and you can see the error for this thing is gone. But if we will scroll down, you can see we are getting an error for this widget called QR image. So here it is saying that the element type QR image cannot be assigned to the list of type widget. So you can try to put this error message on ChatGPT and get the response. But you can also check the documentation page of this package. So here you can go to the readme section and scroll down, and you will be able to see that now the name of that widget QR image is changed to QR image view. So you can make that small adjustment here and this error will be gone. So QR image view. And that's it. So now you can see this error is now gone. So now after doing that, let's simply install our application and see whether we are able to generate QR codes inside our application or not. So I will gonna install this application inside an Android emulator. So now our application is installed and you can see this simple GUI here. So here you can enter any text or URL and then click on this button and the QR code will be generated. So let's type my name, Hamza Asif, and then click on this button. And there you can see this QR code is generated here, and if you are going to scan this QR code you will be able to get my name. Similarly, you can enter a URL here and then click on this button and the QR code for that URL will be generated, and later you can scan it to get that information. So it means that our application is working correctly. And now after building this application we need to work on the GUI, so we need to make the GUI look like this. So we are going to use this image for doing that. So now after building our QR code generator, it's time to improve its GUI. So we are going to make our application look similar to this one. And for that purpose, we are again going to use ChatGPT. So here you can select the GUI design which you want to apply. Like we are going to select this image and you will be able to find it in the course resources. And after that you can say match the GUI of application with the GUI shown in the image. And after that let's simply send it. So now you can see the complete response is generated, so let's simply copy it and then replace the code inside our main dot. And after pasting it, you can notice that we are getting the same error, so we need to replace this QR image with image view. And this error will be gone. So now let's click on this run main dot. And there you can see the updated GUI. So here we got this field where user can enter a URL. So let's enter something like google.com. And then we can click on this generate button. And boom, we got this QR code here. And here this field is unnecessary because inside our design we have not removed it. And you can notice that the size of this QR code is also small. So you can write another prompt if you want to, and you can mention that increase the size of this QR code and also remove this second field which is between this URL and button. And by writing so, you will be able to make changes inside this application. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to start building our API powered application in Flutter. So you can have a question that what is an API? So you can ask ChatGPT about it, like what is an API? And then press enter. And there you can see the result that an API is a set of rules or tools that allows different software applications to communicate with each other. So that is the best definition of API. So API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it is a method using which two computer softwares communicate with each other. And now let's understand APIs with the help of a simple example. So let's say you want to build an application in which user can type the name of a city and you will show him the weather for that city. So to build such application, you need to access weather data from your application. And to do that, you need to use some weather service. And there are number of weather services which are available which return you the weather data. But to get this data inside your application, you need to use their APIs. And by APIs, we mean that they provide set of rules and instructions that how you can hit a particular URL with the name of city, and they will gonna return you the weather for that city. So basically, when we say we need to make an API call or use an API, we basically need to make or hit some URLs from our application, and by hitting those URLs we will get some response, and that response is actually the information in which we are interested in. So in case of this weather application, when we are going to hit a particular URL based upon the rules provided by that weather service, we will be able to get weather data inside our application. And now let's understand it further with a simpler example. So you can open a new tab and here you can type jokes API and then press enter and you will see these results. So here you need to open this joke API documentation. So this is basically a platform or service which provide you different jokes, and it is their documentation page, and here they have provided the guidelines that how you can hit a particular URL and they will gonna return a joke inside your application. So here when you will scroll down, you will find this try it out section here, and below that you can see this URL. So when you are going to copy this URL and then hit it inside a different tab, you will be able to see this information. So this information is in a JSON format, and if you are not familiar with JSON, then you can ignore it. But it is actually a format in which data is returned by APIs. And here we got this result by hitting this URL or this API, and here you can read this joke that I did not vaccinate my 10 kids and one that survived is fine. Similarly, if I will hit it again, you can see we are getting a different joke here, and each time you are going to hit that URL, you will be making an API call, and in response you will be getting a new joke. But now we are going to use this API inside our application. So we are going to build an application in which user can press a button, and each time he will gonna do that, we are going to display a different joke on screen. So we are going to build a joke application in which user can read a new joke by simply clicking on a button, and we will get these jokes by hitting this API provided by this platform. So now let's start building our first API powered application. So as mentioned, it will be a joke application. So when user press on a button, he will be able to see a new joke. And we are going to fetch these jokes using this jokes API. So here we can write a prompt and mention our details here. So our prompt will be create a Flutter application that fetches random jokes from jokes API and displays them. Also add a button to fetch new jokes. And that's it. So that will be our prompt, that we want to create a Flutter application which can fetch jokes from jokes API and display them on screen. And the application will gonna have a button, and when user will gonna press on it, new jokes will be fetched and displayed on screen. So let's send this prompt. So now the complete response is generated, and this time in the response it will be asking you to include a package named HTTP inside your pubspec.yaml. So by using this package we can make API calls or network calls from our Flutter application. So the first step is adding this package inside our application. But we are going to add the latest version of this package, so you can simply open pub.dev and then you can search for this HTTP package here. And now in the search result you can see this package here, and then you can go to its installing section, and here you can see the latest version available is 1.2.2. so simply copy it and then open our application. So I have created a new Android Studio project and named as jokes. So in pubspec.yaml file, let's simply add the dependency in this dependency section. After that, you need to click on this pubget button so that the library will be downloaded and added inside our project. So there you can see the library is downloaded. And now open your browser again, and here in the response the next thing is our full application code. So you can simply copy it and then replace it inside our main dot dot. And after doing that, you can simply run our application and see whether you are able to fetch or see new jokes inside this application or not. So let's install this application. So now our application is opened. So here you can see press the button to fetch a random joke, and then we got this button, and when we click on it, and boom, you can see we got the joke here. Similarly, if I will press it again, you can see another one, and each time you are going to click on it, you will be able to see another one. So it means that our application is working correctly, and inside it we are using the jokes API to get jokes. And you can notice that we are hitting this particular URL inside our application to fetch and display these jokes. So now after building our first API powered application, it's time to make it look better. So you should try to do that by yourself. So in this lecture resources or course resources, you will find this jokes folder, and inside it you will find this screen GUI. So you can pass this image to ChatGPT and ask to make our application GUI look similar to this one. And as you can see, this GUI contains a background image. So you can also mention that instead of this background, use this image as background. So now you need to do it by writing a single prompt. So you can take this as an assignment and do it by yourself. And if you are getting any error, then you can follow me on this lecture. So what we are going to do is to open ChatGPT again, and here we are going to upload that GUI screen. So our prompt will be make our application GUI similar to the GUI shown in the image. After that, to mention that we want to use this image as our background, you can mention its name. So we can mention that use an image named bg.jpg as our application background. And that's it. So that will be our prompt, and here we are specifying that the GUI will be similar to this one, but the background image will be an image named as bg.jpg. So now let's send this prompt. So now the complete code is generated again, so let's simply copy it and replace it inside our main dot dot. And after the complete code, if you will scroll down or above your code, you will see the instructions to add that image inside our assets file and declare it inside pubspec.yaml file. So firstly, you need to create an asset folder just like we did earlier and add that bg.jpg inside it. So inside our project, we are going to create a new directory and name it assets. And after that, you can simply copy this background image and add it inside this folder. And then inside your pubspec.yaml file, you need to declare it here. So we have already done that, so you can simply select these three lines and uncomment them, and then reduce one space from here and also from here. And here you can remove the second line because we don't need it. And then you can name your folder here, which is assets, and then simply pass /. So it means that now inside our application we will be able to use files present inside assets folder. And if you have named this folder like images, then you can specify images here. And after doing that, open our main dot, and there you can notice couple of errors. So you can see this error, so this is because of this primary. So as you know, this is a common error which we get while generating code using ChatGPT. So maybe in future they will fix it, but for now we have to manually change it to background color. Similarly, scroll to the top and here change this primary with background color. And that's it. So now after doing that, simply click on this top main dot and then install the application again to see a new GUI. And there you can see our application. So you can see that background image is being displayed, and then we got this GUI. So firstly we got this text joke box, and then this tell me a joke button. So when I click on it, you can see the joke is being displayed in this white box. Similarly, we got this share button, and I guess it will not be functional. So you can write another prompt and ask ChatGPT to make this button functional, and when pressed it will gonna show you the options that where you can share this text or this joke. But right now we have built our joke application in which we are using an external API.